we get more shops in there.
Good evening, everybody. About a 4.5-minute warning. Three minutes. Two-minute warning.
I'm working here.
That's all you gotta do. And they'll even sometimes mute you. Because a couple times I'd be going to unmute, they'd mute it. I wouldn't realize they had muted it because I needed to say something. And that's usually what happens when I'm talking and none's coming through.
There's a delay. You're like talking and then listening to yourself. I would think if I've got a lot to say.
Sure.
You don't. You don't. Interested to see. So sorry.
Okay, the meeting will begin in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5,
John?
4,
Hey, John Alden?
3,
No,
2.
not ready. His computer, it's not logged in or anything.
Holding 1 moment.
Patrick here.
Holding for a technical difficulty. Okay, the meeting will begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners of Brentwood, Tennessee, for Monday, April 26, 2021. Let the record reflect that all commissioners are present. We are operating under electronic means as per order of the governor, and I will now read that order by Governor Bill Lee. As you may know, Governor Bill Lee issued Executive Order 16 on March 16, extended its provisions by Executive Order 34 on May 6, Executive Order 51 on June 29, Executive Order 60 on August 28, and Executive Order 65 on October 28, Executive Order 71 on December 22nd, Executive Order 78 on February 26. These orders were issued to ensure that government continues to function openly and transparently during the COVID-19 emergency while taking appropriate measures to protect the health and safety of the citizens and government officials. In his orders, Governor Lee emphasized that in the interest of limiting the community spread of COVID-19, private and governmental entities of all types should eliminate large public gatherings and conduct business remotely by electronic means to the greatest extent possible. The orders provide that governments may meet to conduct essential business by electronic means when the governing body determines that doing so is necessary to protect citizens. Sadly, COVID-19 continues to spread across the state and Williamson County. Therefore, the city has determined that in the interest of protecting the health, safety, and welfare of Tennesseans and the citizens of Brentwood, it is necessary for the Board of Commissioners to meet partially electronically rather than in person. We have posted the link for public viewing on the city's website and social media pages, and we have disseminated the same to the media. We will now go to our invocation by Vice Mayor Travis.
Thank you, Mayor. Lord, as we begin this meeting tonight, we ask for your guidance. Help us listen carefully and speak wisely. Help us fully understand the citizens of Brentwood and consider their wants and needs in our actions tonight. Help us value and appreciate our Brentwood residents and our fellow city commissioners and city employees. Assist all commissioners in continuing to work as a unit so our city prospers. May your spirit guide us and your grace abound in me. In God's name we pray. Amen.
All right, we'll now have the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Andrews. All rise.
hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll now move to a public hearing on resolution 2021-30. A resolution calling for a public hearing of the proposed annexation of territory in the city of Brentwood by owner consent and the plan of services for said territory located east of Split Log Road and south of Sunset Road. Mr. Petrowski, is there anyone to speak to the public hearing this evening?
No, Mayor, not on this item.
All right, thank you, sir. We'll now move to our approval. I guess I should say that public hearing is closed. We'll now move to approval or correction of minutes for the April 12th, 2021 meeting. Do I hear a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Brown, second by Commissioner McMillan. Mr. Bednar, the roll call.
Thank you, Mayor. Commissioner Andrews,
Aye.
Commissioner Dunn, Commissioner Dunn,
Aye.
Commissioner Gorman,
Aye.
Commissioner McMillan,
Aye.
Commissioner Smithson,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Travis,
Aye.
Mayor Little.
Aye. Approval or correction of minutes, that's unanimously. We'll now move to comments from citizens, and I know we have at least one person to speak this evening. Mr. Petrowski, I'll allow you to bring them forward. Thank you.
Yes, Mayor, that's correct.
Good evening, Mayor Little and Commissioners. It's good to see you, even if it is virtually. My name is Inetta Gaines. I reside at 6608 North Creekwood Drive here in Brentwood. And I am here to share a little bit about Juneteenth and then to ask a request from you. So we all know regarding January 1st of 1863, President Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. However, it took another 2.5 years for that news to get to southern areas such as Galveston, Texas. June 19th of 1865 is when Major General Gordon Granger rode into Galveston to announce to the citizens there that Juneteenth would be considered free for all slaves, according to the Emancipation Proclamation that was issued 2.5 years earlier. The term Juneteenth comes from combining June and 19th, which is the day in which Gordon Granger rode into Texas. There are some historians who feel as though one of the main reasons why it took so long is because Robert E. Lee did not surrender until April 1st of 1865. Juneteenth has been the oldest celebrated memorial commemoration of the ending of slavery in our country. I am also on the African American Heritage Society of Williamson County, and we have been celebrating it for the past 16 years. This year will be our 17th year, and normally we have it at the Macklemore House. But due to renovations and as well as an unveiling of an interpretive marker that's going to be at Pinkerton Park, we are going to have our celebration at Pinkerton Park this year. I am here to request and ask if Brentwood would consider making June 19th, which this year is June 19th, is on a Saturday. Every year it falls on the third Saturday of June. So it doesn't take away from the work week. And Maury County has already decided to make that proclamation for their county. And then a little closer to home, County Mayor Anderson will be proclaiming June 19th as Juneteenth, Day of Freedom. And then Franklin City Mayor Ken Moore will be making that proclamation. So I am here to ask if Brentwood would join our other neighboring communities in recognizing Juneteenth as the day of proclamation that they would make a day of freedom from slavery. Eventually, it will be a national holiday, and I feel as though if Brentwood could be one of the four cities that would recognize it, that would be a great thing, because we've led in so many other things, and I think that this would be a great thing for our city to lead in as well and to join our other communities. So I'm here to humbly ask that you would make a proclamation that June 19th of 2021 would be considered Juneteenth, and possibly going forward in coming years, that it would be a city holiday going forth. Thank you very much, and it's good to see all of you.
Thank you, Ms. Gaines. Thank you very much. Anyone else, Mr. Petrowski?
No, Mayor, that's all.
Thank you very much. We'll move to our comments from our city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Several items tonight for you. First, staff would like to request that Resolution 2021-54, which is item number 5 on the consent agenda, if that would please be withdrawn from the consent agenda and considered under new business. Second is this Saturday is the third and final weekend for the Public Works Department for their community cleanup effort, where we will take larger type household items that normally maybe don't go in the trash, whether that's lawn equipment, furniture, those kind of things. The third one, the final one, is this Saturday, Granny White Park, from 8 to 4 p.m. And we have additional information on our website about what types of items we can and cannot accept at that event. Third, just a reminder for the commissioners and for the public that this Thursday at 2 p.m. we are scheduled to have a ribbon cutting ceremony for the police headquarters project. Of course, the one day of rain this week is scheduled for Thursday, but we do have a tent, and it will be a rain or shine event. For the public, because of COVID and our need to try to minimize the overall size of the crowd, unfortunately, this is an invitation-only event for police officers and officials. But we are making accommodations to broadcast the event live via Facebook and YouTube, and there's links on our website to those pages. And in addition, will be a virtual or a video tour of the building hosted by Chief Hughes that will be available after that event. So we hope that the general public, even if we're not able to host them for a large event at the headquarters on Thursday, that they will still join in, participate virtually, and still be able to kind of see the inside of that building. And finally, speaking of virtual meetings and the mayor reading that order, we believe this will be the last virtual meeting authorized by the governor's executive orders. The current order that allows for electronic meetings such as this will expire on midnight on Wednesday night, Thursday morning. And it's been indicated that the governor does not intend to extend that order. So beginning with this Thursday's Planning Commission briefing, and then next Monday night's Planning Commission meeting, we will be back to city meetings in person. And so your first in-person meeting would be the briefing on May 6th, and then your May 10th City Commission meeting, we will be back in person. That's all I have, Mayor, unless there's any questions from commissioners.
Any questions for the city manager? Hearing none, I'll move to report from our city attorney.
Thank you so much, Mayor Little. I have no report for y'all tonight.
Thank you. We'll now move to our reports and comments from our commissioners, and we'll start this evening with Commissioner Andrews.
Thank you, Mayor. So starting out with the boards, I do not have an update for the Parks Board. We have not met since our last commission meeting, although I do want to make the observation, one of the things we're talking about tonight is the cell towers in Granny White Park. And I just wanted to let you all know that we did review that in the Park Board meeting a few months back, and we did not have any objection to that plan from the members of the Park Board. With the Tree Board, we're continuing to develop and promote the the EAB Awareness Program, Brentwood's Best Ash. So we're continuing to promote it, gather contestants for the photo contest, both the best photo, but also the largest volume of photo submissions and locations of the trees to use to build a database here in Brentwood of the ash trees. I want to thank the folks at Citizens for Brentwood Green Space, along with several other groups that have taken the initiative to take that contest and promote it among their members and to the general public. So I really appreciate the support, and thank you very much. We talked a lot this past couple of weeks, about the heavy storms. And it's funny as you read the proclamation, just thinking about the number of different disasters that we've gotten to experience here in this past year or so. And I want to thank the city staff for all of your patience and diligence in going through the process in a very deliberate and professional way to make sure we can try to do the best we possibly can as a commission to use the resources of the city to navigate this on behalf of our citizens and the larger community. So thank you to the staff for that and helping us learn how this, or helping me specifically as a new commissioner, learn how this works. And also thank you for our guest tonight with information on Juneteenth. I've become aware of that the past several years, and I've had a number of friends celebrate that. And I can't think of anything more American than freedom. And I'd be interested in learning more about what that means. Now, I don't know anything about declaring a city holiday, and I don't know if there's more implications to that than just a proclamation. But I really appreciate the idea, and glad to see our community coming together for such an important event in the history of our country. With that, Mayor Little, thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Andrews. Commissioner McMillan.
Thank you, Mayor. I also want to thank Annetta Gaines for coming to speak to us tonight. I really appreciate it when residents come out to speak. And while I knew some about Juneteenth, I am glad to have more details about the specifics. So I really appreciate you coming out, Annetta. Also, Kirk Bednar already mentioned the live stream of the police headquarters. I did want to add that you can actually go on Facebook and see the pictures already that have been taken and displayed, and there's some really neat pictures. So I encourage you to look at those because they're just amazing, and it'll be a good kind of precursor to seeing that before you see the live stream. And finally, the next Environmental Advisory Board meeting is on May 10th, and it will be at 6 p.m., and it will be in person at City Hall on the second floor in the Annex Room. And that is all, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner McMillan. Commissioner Dunn.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have a historic board report, but I did want to thank Annetta Gaines for coming. She's a member of our historic board. And last year, our historic board meeting was held outside on the back patio at City Hall, and it was the third Friday in June, which was the day before Juneteenth. And Annetta explained to all of us in detail how heartfelt this holiday is to African Americans in this country. And we were all moved by everything she had to say. And I would be honored to vote for this being a holiday. I do want to agree with Nelson that I would like to know what the ramifications are in terms of employees, because we have employees that do work on a Saturday, even though others in some businesses do not. So I would want to know that. And if everything works out nicely, I would be more than happy to vote to make that a holiday. Secondly, I have a question. I don't know who can answer it. With COVID, I suspect that most of the city commission candidates aren't going to be having celebratory parties that night where you usually go to find out who's won. Mr. Bednar, do you know if the city will be publishing the numbers on our website or our Channel 19, or how we're going to handle the announcement of who wins?
Yes, Commissioner Dunn. We will normally, of course, the Election Commission will publish those results from their office, and they usually have a, I believe it's a YouTube live feed of the results also. But we will have a place on our website homepage at the top. We kind of have a special banner that's kind of been used for COVID till now. But yes, we'll publish those results as we get them from the Election Commission on our website.
Okay. I know we don't meet again before the election, and I thought people might like to know how they could find out who wins. And good luck to everybody.
Thank you, Commissioner Dunn. Commissioner Gorman.
Thanks, Mayor. Annetta, thanks for coming out and providing that information and making your thoughts and feelings known on that matter. I have no report, Mayor, but want to remind everybody that early voting ends this Thursday, and then Election Day is Tuesday, May 4th. So get out and vote. Your vote matters. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Gorman. Commissioner Smithson.
Okay, hang on. Am I unmuted? Okay. I'd like to thank Ms. Gaines for coming out, and also thank her for serving on the historic board. I think that we sometimes take the different volunteer boards for granted, but there's so much work that goes into the city by volunteers that really saves the city a lot of money, but it also gets the citizens involved, and that's what we want, people to understand what the city's about and to serve on boards. And I'm like the other commissioners that spoke up about the holiday. It certainly could be a holiday designated, but like some of the others have said, the ramifications of it being a city employee holiday would be with Kirk and the staff on what to do with that. On April the 29th, the same day that we are having the ribbon cutting for the police department, the library is having a planning and strategy meeting starting at 9. I think that goes to 12. And we're planning the different spaces, what's happening in the library, what they'll be designated as. Our next regular library board meeting will be May the 12th at 9 o'clock at the library. And you know, we're talking about freedom, and that's a great point that Annetta brought up, but we have the freedom to vote too. And that's a privilege. And it really is. I'd love to encourage all the residents of Brentwood to get out. And I consider it almost, well, really honoring our military for the price that they've paid, the first responders and all, for us to be free to be able to go vote. So I'd love to encourage everyone to go cast their vote. At the library, a couple of things that are happening on Tuesday, April 27th at 6 p.m. is the online program, What is Dyslexia? Signs and Solutions. And you can register online. Early voting continues through April 29th with the actual election day on Tuesday, May the 4th. And the last thing is really important. The American Red Cross is still short of donors and will have blood drives on April 28th and 29th. Those run from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And I just want to mention something. My daughter, Kim, had a really, really bad case of COVID, and she made it through it. And when it was time, she went and gave blood, and they found out that she had the antibodies, and that will help 3 people, what she gave. So I would encourage everyone to go out and give blood, and they test it, and she got an email saying that she did have the antibodies. So that was a good sign that, you know, she was hopefully immune to it now. So I would encourage everyone to do that. And I also would like to thank the city staff for everything. We have had so many different events that have been going on, from the floods. There have been floods that subdivisions that's never flooded before in this event, and our homes that haven't. And the city has done such a good job. We're limited, obviously, on all the things we can do, but I know the staff and the commissioners, all of us are willing to meet and work on anything we can to help you. That's my report. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith and Vice Mayor Travis.
Thank you, Mayor. Happy to report that the next Planning Commission info meeting will be Thursday, the first live meeting at 8 a.m. here at City Hall, as City Manager Kurt Bednar said. We will follow that next Monday night, May the 3rd at 7 p.m. here at City Hall for the Planning Commission. Looking forward to the police headquarters ribbon cutting. Enough's been said about what the event's going to happen, but I think we need to just stop and think about what an accomplishment this is, how we went about paying for this, how we planned for this, proper planning, how to pay for it, the strategy of moving everything over there. We have some computer guys sitting at the back of the room. I happened to bump into them last week. They were over to the headquarters. Think about getting all that set up. It takes a lot of coordination, and a lot of people need to be thanked. This building doesn't just happen, but people think we're going to flip a switch and one building ends and another starts. It's not that way. So thank everybody for all their hard work on that. And it's going to be a benefit to all the citizens of Brentwood, the building itself and then the location. So we should all have reason to celebrate with the police on Thursday. I'd like to thank Annetta Gaines for coming. Those people have been around Brentwood. She's one of those people, she's a worker. She's been around a lot. Annetta, I look forward to talking about Juneteenth at the next info meeting. Thank you for bringing it forward. And I think the commission needs to talk about this at the info meeting and then make our plans on moving forward. But thank you so much for bringing that to us. Lastly, about a month ago, I went off on Franklin Road, sitting up here, because I drive it every day, multiple times a day. I'm happy to report nothing's changed, so I could just read the same speech again. Looks like we got rollers out there rolling gravel over and over and over again, but not one cut through was touched. Not one pothole was filled in. It's the same. And that's just not fair to the citizens of Brentwood. That's not a Brentwood issue. It's TDOT, and people should know that. We've had some changes in our city with who's handling this, and I know we got some players that exited with retirement and changes. We got other people coming in. I'm just making the plea. Those cut-throughs are horrible, and for people to continue to have to drive that every day is just not right for our citizens. I personally will include some TDOT information in the mailing that I'm going to do next week, and I hope everybody will take a chance to write TDOT and tell them that we're not happy with what they're doing on Franklin Road. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I too would like to thank Ms. Gaines for her service to the Historic Commission. And I believe that celebrating freedom is a good American thing to do and a good Brentwood thing to do. So I hope we will investigate that as we move forward and move towards Juneteenth. Had a great meeting with the residents of Wildwood yesterday. The city manager joined me to help me with a lot of technical information. I wanted to thank Leslie Carmichael and for organizing it and all the residents that were there. And hopefully we can help them as they go through this hard process of rebuilding their homes and lives after the bad floods of March 27th. Early voting, as has been mentioned, goes through the 29th. You can vote at the John P. Holt Brentwood Library, here at the Municipal Center or City Hall, as some people refer to it. And you also can vote at the Williamson County Administrative Building in Franklin. All of those places, times are 8 to 6. Election day is May 4th, and it's from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So as my father would say, a 12-hour day is half a day. That's what he used to tell me when I worked 12 hours, and I worked half a day. But you can vote on that day at the John P. Holt Brentwood Library, the Brent Haven Presbyterian Church, or the Safety Center East. And yes, something that's been several years in the work, and a lot of work's been done on it, is the police headquarters grand opening, which will be on April 29th. It's a building built to better serve and protect our citizens of Brentwood. It did take years of planning and work to create an efficient and effective, centrally located headquarters that is a great value for our citizens and was built to allow service to Brentwood for decades to come. I believe that many people will be served, many lives will be saved, many lives will be impacted in a very positive way because of this police headquarters. And I always want to thank our police officers, dispatchers, administrative personnel for providing the Brentwood citizen with one of the finest, if not the finest, police force in the world. So thank you. And this will be a celebration both of the centrally located police headquarters and our great police. So, and that's all on my reports or comments. Does anyone have anything else to add? If not, we'll move to our consent agenda. Our consent agenda is read as one item, voted on as one item. As you heard, staff has pulled Resolution 2021-50, but a commissioner can pull any consent agenda item or a citizen can as well.
I'm sorry, Mayor, that was 2021-54.
Oh, I'm so sorry. You're exactly right. 2021-54. I apologize. If there's no one else that wants to pull an item, I will now read our consent agenda. Consent agenda item 1, ordinance 2021-03. An ordinance rezoning the property adjacent to the south to 1750 General Patton Drive to SI3 for consideration on second and final reading. Consent agenda item 2, resolution 2021-47. A resolution authorizing an amendment to the agreement with Ethcoat and Davis Incorporated for continued supplemental engineering services for adoption. Consent agenda item 3, resolution 2021-48. A resolution authorizing an amendment to the agreement with Smith Seckman Reed Incorporated for continued supplemental engineering services for adoption. Consent agenda item 2021-50. A resolution authorizing an amendment to the agreement with Cronus Sasher Incorporated for a time and attendance system for adoption. Consent agenda item 5. Approval to purchase 2 low-pro plow hitches for new dump trucks. Consent agenda item 6. Approval to surplus 1 Dodge Charger police vehicle. Do I hear a motion? Motion by Commissioner Smith and a second by Commissioner McMillan. Mr. Bednar?
Commissioner Andrews?
Aye.
Commissioner Dunn?
Aye.
Commissioner Gorman?
Aye.
Commissioner McMillan?
Aye.
Commissioner Smithson?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Travis?
Aye.
Mayor Little?
Aye. Consent agenda passes unanimously. Is there any other old business before the city? Hearing none, I'll move to new business. New business item 1, resolution 2021-49. A resolution authorizing an agreement with American Constructors Incorporated for construction management services for Fire Station 5 for adoption. Do I hear a motion? I'll make the motion.
Second.
Second it.
And seconded by Vice Mayor Travis. Mr. Bednar?
Mayor, thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Commissioners, as you know, we are in the middle of the planning stages for a construction of a new fire station, Fire Station 5 on Split Log Road in the southeast portion of town. This agenda item proposes to enter into an agreement with American Constructors as the construction management firm. The process we are recommending is very similar. Actually, it's the exact same process we used for the police headquarters building, which has been a success in that we bring a construction management firm on during the design phase. They will work alongside our architects, TM Partners, throughout the final design process. And in that, they will provide pricing assistance, constructability input, value engineering input during this pre-construction phase. And then once we are ready to move to construction and have final design plans, they will then seek subcontracts for the various services needed to build the project, and they will hold that contract And we will eventually have an agreement, a guaranteed maximum price agreement with the construction manager. As I said, that's the process we used for the police headquarters, and it's worked out very well, so we're recommending that process again. Staff issued a request for proposals with your authorization for these construction management services. We had 8 firms that responded to that. And since this isn't obviously the final cost of the building, but there are certain costs and fees that we can get locked in at this point in time, and that includes the pre-construction fee, which is the time between now and the time that we actually start construction when they're working alongside the constructor or the architect. We also asked them to propose their general conditions fees for a 12-month construction period, and that would include their staffing, their on-site management of the whole construction process. They're also their contractor's fee, and those are the types of things we could analyze. So of the 8 firms, a selection group of myself, Fire and Rescue Chief Brian Goss, Assistant Chief Brian Collins, as well as representatives from TM Partners, reviewed all 8 submittals, identified 2 firms that we felt were the best combination of experience and fee proposals. We interviewed those 2 firms and are recommending to you tonight American Constructors as the selected firm. American Constructors is a Brentwood-based business, convenient in that their offices are literally behind City Hall, so it will make for easy communication. They've done work for us in the past. They built Station 4, Safety Center East, approximately 20 years ago, and also were the construction manager for the original construction of the library and the expansion of the library a little over 10 years ago. They have other public safety experience, including fire station in Nashville, and recently completed the new police headquarters for the city of Tullahoma. So we believe they're well qualified. Their fees of the 2 firms we interviewed were the lowest of the 2. And we're happy to recommend them to you tonight. The agreement tonight essentially is you're agreeing to a contract for the $10,000 in pre-construction fees. When we are ready to move to construction, there will be an amendment that's brought to you that will establish the guaranteed maximum price for the construction of the building as a whole. And I'll be glad to answer questions. I think Chief Goss is on here. And I believe Derek Martin, the representative from American Constructors, is also on if there are any questions for him.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, I will now ask for the roll call vote.
Commissioner Andrews?
Aye.
Commissioner Dunn?
Aye.
Commissioner Gorman?
Aye.
Commissioner McMillan?
Aye.
Commissioner Smithson?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Travis?
Aye.
And Mayor Little.
Aye. Resolution 2021-49 passes unanimously. We'll now move to new business item 2, Resolution 2021-52. A resolution authorizing an agreement with New Singular Wireless PCS LLC for a communication site lease in Granny White Park for adoption. Do I hear a motion?
Move for approval.
Motion by Commissioner Smithson and a second.
Second?
Second by Commissioner Andrews. Mr. Bedard?
Thank you, Mayor. Several months ago, the staff was approached by New Singular Wireless to inquire about the potential to look at placement of a cell tower facility in Granny White Park. As you know, we do have one existing tower there that's built into a light pole. So Parks Director Dave Bunt and the city attorney began discussions with them under the same type of a concept. You see there the proposed location on field 1, I believe was what we number that one. That's the field used by Brentwood High School girls softball team for their home field. And the concept is exactly the same as what we have at the other site in the park. Jay, if you could move to the next slide. What's being proposed there, you see on the left is the light pole as it exists today there down the left field line of that field. And what would happen is they would remove that pole, install a pole with a larger diameter that's able to contain all of their cell tower antennas, and then they would reinstall the lights. The pole would be the exact same height as it is today, so we're not adding any height to the pole. So the lights still work where they're at. In addition to the pole, there would be a equipment shelter, as you see there in the bottom there. That building would serve two purposes. It would house the necessary equipment for the cell tower operations, of course, but it would also have additional space that they've agreed to include that would become a storage area for the Brentwood Girls High School softball team, that they've been looking for some storage space there for several years in conversations with Dave, so we're able to accommodate them and kind of get a win-win here in addition to the cell tower equipment. The lease agreement is for initial term of 5 years with 5 additional 5-year extensions that are available. The lease amount is $2,500 a month, $30,000 a year, and each 5-year extension that is implemented would be a 10% increase in the annual lease payments. And the other part of this is that the lease also gives them a utility easement out to Granny White Pike so they can run their fiber along our entrance road out to the road and connect up to their network out there and all that. The location of all that has been worked out with Dave in terms of that routing of that. So we think this is a good win-win-win, to be quite honest with you. I think we all have heard from residents about concerns about cell coverage in our city, really everywhere, because of the proliferation of devices that need that coverage. So this allows hopefully some improved service levels in this area of town. It provides some revenue to the city without any negative impacts in the park, we believe. And finally, it has a benefit for the girls softball team in terms of some storage for them. So it's been a while, and it usually does take a while to get these things worked out. As Commissioner Andrews mentioned, the park board reviewed this, I think, back in the fall and endorsed it. So we're recommending your approval tonight. If you do approve this lease agreement, then the Planning Commission will consider the actual site plan for the cell tower at their meeting next week. And I'm on the line. The city attorney is here, and Dave Bunt is also available with any questions.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, I'll ask for the roll.
Well, I
Go
would
ahead,
like to make
Commissioner
not a question, but a comment. I'd like to make the observation that we have a lot of large light poles in Crockett Park. If any cell companies are looking for another way to bring some cell coverage to that area of town, it's a little dicey over there.
Commissioner, I can say that we actually are in conversations with a company for that one, and I think Dave and or Chris have been in discussions for well over a year, but it's just a long process, and in that case, I think some of it has to do getting some of the power and their network equipment over the railroad tracks to that location. But we do hope to move that one forward and bring that to you here in the future.
Well, that is more good news. Thank you.
Any further questions or comments? If not, we'll ask for the vote.
Commissioner Andrews?
Aye.
Commissioner Dunn?
Aye.
Commissioner Gorman?
Aye.
Commissioner McMillan?
Aye.
Commissioner Smithson?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Travis?
Aye.
And Mayor Little.
Aye. Resolution 2021-52 passes unanimously. We'll now move to new business item 3, Resolution 2021-53, a resolution extending certain personnel policies and procedures related to the COVID-19 crisis for City of Brentwood personnel for adoption. Do I hear a motion? I'll make a motion on that. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gorman. Mr. Bednar?
Mayor and Commissioners, as you will remember, a little over a year or so ago, the federal government passed some regulations related to COVID and emergency leave for employees, both in terms of sick leave, paid sick leave if related to COVID or COVID exposure, and also family medical leave related to COVID exposure. And those federal requirements were implemented by the city. The federal mandate for those expired on December 31st of 2020. You, at staff's request, voluntarily extended those city benefits under the same terms as the federal law through March 31st. This agenda item is asking you to extend it for 2 additional months, April and May. By the end of May, we believe any city employee who wishes to be vaccinated will have had that opportunity. But we do have had some recent cases where employees have been out for COVID, and we think it's appropriate to extend that paid leave benefits per the original federal standards for the next 2 months, but that at the end of May they would expire and we would not extend them beyond at that time.
Are there any questions on this? Comments? Mr. Bednar will ask for the roll call.
Commissioner Andrews?
Aye.
Commissioner Dunn? Commissioner Gorman?
Aye.
Commissioner McMillan?
Aye.
Commissioner Smithson?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Travis?
Aye.
Mayor Little?
Aye. Resolution 2021-53 passes unanimously. New business item 4 is other new business, and it's a notice, future appointment of 2 members to the library board for information only. We'll now move to item number 5, which was pulled from the consent agenda. And it is resolution 2021-54. Resolution authorizing the use of a competitive sealed proposals process for stormwater system improvements for Brentwood Light subdivision pursuant to section 2-209 of the Brentwood Municipal Code for adoption. Do I hear a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion by Vice Mayor
Second.
Travis and a second by Commissioner McMillan. Mr. Bednar?
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. Again, this item tonight is really just a simple authorization for the staff to proceed to issue a request for proposals for some work that's needed in the Brentwood Light subdivision related to the stormwater collection and detention system out there. We talked quite a bit about this on Thursday. There's some activity up there, grading work up there that staff has been working on for quite some time to come into compliance. We still have issues. There have been penalties leveled that continue to accrue, and we continue to try to work with the responsible parties in getting it remedied. But the reality is we have existing conditions out there in the storm drain system and again in the detention pond that need remedying, primarily cleaning out the collection system and then removal of a large amount of siltation that has occurred in that detention pond. While we still hope that the responsible party will take care of this, the reality is it's gone on frankly too long. And so we would like to be in a position to proceed with doing that work on our own if we absolutely have to, with the hopes, of course, of collecting any city costs that are incurred from the responsible party through whatever legal means are necessary. So what this item does is simply authorize staff to issue a request for proposals for the work that's been outlined by Lori and our engineering department. And if necessary, execute a contract, bring a contract to you for execution to have that work done. Obviously, if the responsible party proceeds with an approved plan of work before then, that's great. But if not, we need to be in a position to take that work on and address it accordingly. So I'll be glad to answer any questions. Lori is also on here for any specific technical questions. But again, this action tonight is simply authorizing staff to proceed with a procurement process.
Vice Mayor Travis, and then I'll come to you. Vice Mayor Travis.
Thank you, Mayor. I asked that this be moved off the consent agenda because this really has gone on too long, as City Manager Bednar said. And by putting this on the regular agenda, I hope you hear in my voice, and I hope you hear from fellow commissioners that we want this improved, because this just shouldn't happen. It has been going on a long time. I am so glad that we have a city engineer on this and in the middle of it, and I feel like it is headed towards improvement, and I'll say that it'll be finalized. But the reason this is here and the reason we talked about it in great length on Thursday is this just can't continue to happen. And the parties that are in the middle of this should know that the city is just really want this fixed, and they want it fixed right for the people that live there. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Commissioner McMillan?
I just want to add to what Vice Mayor Travis said regarding this issue, and I really want to thank city staff for addressing this issue. I know y'all have been working hard on this for quite a while, and I know the residents of Brentwood Lights really appreciate city staff making things happen here, and I know they have been frustrated for quite a while with the situation, so I just really want to thank y'all for taking the time to take care of this.
Any further questions or comments? If not, I'll ask Mr. Bednar for the roll call.
Commissioner Andrews,
Aye.
Commissioner Dunn, Commissioner Gorman,
Aye.
Commissioner McMillan,
Aye.
Commissioner Smithson,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Travis,
Aye.
and Mayor Little.
Aye. Resolution 2021-54 passes unanimously. Is there any other business before the city? I would like to, as Commissioner Smithson mentioned earlier, to urge everyone to vote. Very high price, many, many decades has been paid for you to have that right. We would hope that you would exercise it either early voting through April 29th or on Election Day, May 4th. If there's no other business before the city of Brentwood, I move that we be adjourned.